National wants to reduce the cost of living, lift incomes and back growth. That means backing businesses and seeing them succeed. With a national government, you will see more disciplined spending and the books in better order. You will see less tax for working people and fewer taxes across the board. You will see less regulation and red tape making your life difficult. You will see more of a focus on the basics in our schools and filling the workforce shortages that need to be filled. And you will see infrastructure that gets built, not just talked about, and will fix a few potholes too. These past 6 years, Labor has mismanaged our economy, and it is hurting New Zealanders. Inflation remains out of control. We are entering the 3rd year of a cost of living crisis. Interest rates have more than doubled in just 2 years, meaning mortgages have become unaffordable for too many. Our current account deficit is the worst in the world. The forecasts for growth are worse than just about every other country in the world, with even Treasury confirming we're flatlining. It is time for a government that will focus on growing this economy, on repairing this economy, on reducing the cost of living, lifting incomes for all, and taking the sensible spending decisions needed to ensure public services can be preserved into the future. I want you to think about 2 numbers. In 2019, New Zealand's debt level was 5.4 billion. Today, as I stand here, it is 74 billion, projected to reach 100. Ask yourself, what do we have to show for all of Labor's wasteful spending? We don't think it's okay that spending has increased 80% under Labor, but New Zealanders have not seen an 80% improvement in results in just about any area, except for perhaps the number of ram raids occurring. So, what we're going to do is we're going to cut the waste. We're going to reduce the backroom bureaucracy. I will not be a finance minister that will sit back and watch while the Ministry for Pacific Peoples goes from a $7.5 million budget to a $43 million budget within a 6-year period. Because I have to ask, can we be sure that every one of those dollars has been used appropriately? The New Zealand Super Fund wants to invest in long-term infrastructure assets, and yet this government has failed to work with them to achieve that. We need to do better funding and financing tools, and we need to do regional and city deals that set out longer-term pathways for investment, and we need much faster consenting. I want to talk a bit about the city deals, because it's very important here in Queenstown. Because Queenstown has significant infrastructure needs that it is struggling to meet from its current rating base. We want to sit down with Queenstown and say, what should the next 10 years look like? What do you need to fund? What do we as central government need to help you with? Let's plan that out over a longer pipeline. We then want to say to the Queenstown Council, if you consent more homes in this area that so badly needs them, then we will pay you more. We have a Housing for Growth Fund. We'll pay you $25,000 for every house you consent above the historic average. We recognise the Council's problem with not being able to meet the funding requirements for new developments, so we will help them to take borrowing off their balance sheet through special interest vehicles that will allow the actual beneficiaries of growth to pay for that growth rather than the existing rating base. We think seriously about infrastructure because the current situation isn't working. We have a severe infrastructure deficit that is holding back New Zealand's growth, it's holding back our productivity, and all this government has delivered is constant visualisations of Auckland Light Rail without a single metre laid. So we back tourism in a big way. It's a good industry for New Zealand and it has a good future. We want to sit down and do a deal with Queenstown where we agree to fund some of the infrastructure that is needed to support a vital source of productive growth for New Zealand, which is tourism and the export dollars it brings in. We are a country in a current account deficit of huge proportions. We can't afford to turn our back on tourists, and that means we need to partner with Queenstown to invest in the infrastructure you need to support it. Well, I am really proud of our farmers because actually today they are the most carbon efficient farmers in the world and they feed 40 million people.
That's right.
So I'm going to keep backing them. And one of the ways we can back them is by removing the regulations which are stopping them being able to do the gene editing that could allow for a breakthrough solution to reducing agricultural emissions. That's the big prize. If New Zealand wins that prize, not only do our farmers get better prices for their products, but we can potentially resolve many of the emissions occurring around the world. But yes, at the same time, we should be pursuing other areas. We should be pursuing tech. We should be pursuing the space industry. We should be pursuing high-tech manufacturing. All of these things are available to us, but don't come after the primary industries.